Hello and thank you for joining us on the Monday edition of Journalists Hangout on TVC News. I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo. Today on the program, Katsina State Governor says no contact yet with abductors of schoolboys as bandits kidnapped 19 more Nigerians in Niger State and kill a pastor. Kebbi State Commander of Customs Service foils attempt to smuggle cache of ammunition, guns and other dangerous weapons into Nigeria. More than 20 generals test positive for coronavirus as SGF family go into isolation amid pandemic's second wave. And later on the show, Arteta says outcast Mesut Ozil could be brought back in January as Arsenal maintains losing streak. I will be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju, Lekon Shote. Paul Dada is also making his debut on the show, while Promise Afoge joins us later for sports. Journalists Hangout starts now. Yes, it's good to have you join us once again on Journalists Hangout. The center is yet to hold in Nigeria's northwest state of Katsina following the abduction of hundreds of students at the government science secondary school Kankara. The state governor, Masari, who revealed that more than 333 students were abducted, said no contact has been made with the abductors. He added that no group has claimed responsibility for the abduction as well. As it stands, only 426 pupils out of 884 in the hostel at the time of the attack could be accounted for. And in the midst of that chaos, armed bandits struck in Chukuba village, Shiroro local government area of Niger State. They killed a resident pastor of Ekwa Church in Kubwa Kuta, Jeremiah Ibrahim, and kidnapped about 20 people. Let's share some updates on the Katsina abduction with you.
An unexpected invasion of Kankara by bandits, and its result is the abduction of the students, as the Katsina State Governor has confirmed 333 school students still missing. The timing of the attack is embarrassing to the federal government, coming at a time the president is in Katsina on a private visit for 1 week. It has brought a federal government delegation to Katsina led by the Minister of Defense, Bashir Salihi Magashi. He presents the government position, which is that the action by the bandits is intended to confuse the people and disrupt education. He pledged the government's determination to rescue the children within the shortest possible time. The delegation also commiserates with the people and government of Katsina State.
Today, with all the sorrowfulness in our mind, we are coming today also to sympathize with you. I don't know, is it kidnapping or whatever, but I think it is more or less a useless exercise conducted by you to disrupt the education of children, about 800 of them. And the confusion arising therefrom in the Kankara local government, we felt this kind of thing, which happened 2 days ago, the armed forces and the police and other security agencies must move very fast to ensure the students are rescued. We are doing this on the belief that if these kind of people are allowed to rest for a moment, we are also equally condoning this kind of activity.
The public is relying on the armed forces and other security agencies to act swiftly to rescue the children. Governor Masari, who is still in shock, appreciates the concern of the federal government and urges the people to continue to pray for the state.
We appreciate the concern shown by the President and Commander-in-Chief by authorizing your coming here to sympathize with the people of Katsina State, the parents, teachers, and the Ministry of Education of Katsina State. The children so far kidnapped cut across the state because the school is a boarding school It houses all children from all parts of the state and some even from outside the state. It has a population of 839, and so far we are yet to account for 333 pupils. And we are still counting because more are coming out of the forest. And we are calling through the numbers, those parents that have numbers, to find out whether their children have gone back home.
The state government believes it is time to declare the forest commanders as terrorists and galvanize for support to end their menace, as the people now wait anxiously for the remaining 333 students to be rescued. Their state of mind is not helped by conflicting reports awash on social media. The state government and the federal government are all doing their best in trying to console the people and to reassure the people of the zeal of the government to rescue those children alive. Abdulatif Yusuf, TVC News, Katsina.
A visibly disturbed Governor Masari speaking there in that report, bringing updates on the current situation following the kidnap. But before we go into the discussion, let me welcome my guests from my immediate left. Babajide Koladio Titoju, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Lekon Shote, welcome to the program. And we have Dada, Mr. Dada, making his debut on the show. Mr. Sunday Dada, welcome to the program. Paul Dada, yes. It's good to have you.
Thank you very much.
On the program. So, BK, let's start with the governor. He has given an account of the situation report. So far, 333 students still missing, no contact yet made with the abductors, and no group claiming responsibility. Is this an admission of helplessness? And my Bible says, if the foundation be destroyed, what can the righteous do?
Oh, yes. It's too early to say that it's an admission of helplessness. He's just telling us the truth as at this time. And he has chosen not to lie to people, let the people know the exact state of things. Not to tell people that only 10 children are missing, when the situation is the opposite of that. The people who are talking about just 10 persons missing, they've not been to Kankara. You can't stand before the parents of those children who camp in that school every day and tell them that only 10 children are missing. The blowback will be very bad for you. So the governor is like the incident commander in this case, and the governor is saying, it's still confirmed today, still confirmed this afternoon, that 333 children are unaccounted for at this time. And the information that he has, he pieced together, talking to school staff, the Minister of Education staff, parents, and security operatives within the state. So there's no way the governor will not know what's going on. And the governor is known to have interfaced with the bandits in the past. So he's eagerly waiting, at least to hear from them, to know the situation of things. It's true that some of the children have returned on their own, not rescued, as we've been told on social media and other platforms for misleading Nigerians. The children walked back all through the night. They walked until they got back to Kankara town. So this is the situation of things. That area, in 2018, I went to Kankara on my way to Dansabout to interview victims of armed banditry. I know where that school is. It's on the way to Dansabout, just about 2 kilometers from Kankara town. And the whole of that area are forests and hills. So it's a perfect location for bandits. And as I've said before, that forest stretches all the way to Central African Republic, the Rugu forest. So that is why we have this problem, especially in northern Nigeria, because there is somewhere for them to hide, whether in Niger State or Zamfara or Katsina or Sokoto and Kebbi. Those forests crisscrossing different states, just like we have with Sambisa. Sambisa stretches through 7 Nigerian states. So it's difficult sometimes when you are looking for these people and you don't have the right technology. It's difficult to pinpoint their exact location because the forest is so extensive. We pray that we'll be able to rescue these young people and, and bring them back home alive.
Amen. Lekon, let me come to you now. I want to know if you share BKO's sentiments, particularly about the sincerity of the governor. This follows reports that the school principal has refused to speak to the press. Efforts to speak with him have proved abortive. As he said, the governor has said, don't speak with the press, that every account of what happened should be got from the governor. What do you think about this, I won't call it secrecy now, but this directive to go to the governor to get details?
Well, as a public relations practitioner, I think that is the way to go. When a crisis situation occurs, you must have one central point, one clearinghouse for all information. Otherwise, you're going to get a confusion.
Information crisis.
So I think in that sense, from a professional point of view, I think that is, if you like, almost a master stroke.
Okay.
You know, but I also know that that's the way civil servants function. You know, as soon you know, they will tell you I'm directed. You know, even if they authored the communication, they will still say I'm directed. You know, and all that. So now that he has gotten an instruction, he is certainly going to. But I think it's a wise approach. What the governor has.
Just before I go to Paul, this is reminiscent of a Boko Haram style of attack. You know, Chibok kidnap, Dapchi kidnap, now Katsina. Does it confirm some strongly held views that perhaps some insurgents who have been displaced from their enclave in the northeast have found their way to the northwest? And are we witnessing insurgency in the form of banditry in the northwest?
Interesting question, because I think, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, I was talking in my column, and I said northeast, there is insurgency. Northwest, there is banditry. Middle belt, there is herdsmen.
Cattle.
Yeah. South and southeast, there is kidnapping. Then the southwest, there's ritual and stuff like that. But essentially, criminals are criminals, whatever name you want to call them. And I think what I'm trying to say is that they could be of different hues. Yeah. So speculation that insurgents became bandits, it's a long shot, as far as I'm concerned. You know, but certainly, the way they have operated appears like the way the people who operated at Dapchi operated, the way the Chibok kidnappers also operated. Why I have a little hesitation is that from reports that we've heard and we've seen, there have been opportunities of negotiation between governors and bandits.
True.
They are almost known. They know them and they are negotiated with. Now there is no talk of, okay, we think we know who these guys are. You know, there's a blank. But as Abajide suggested earlier on, that, well, let's wait for some form of contact. Then, now the contact will be via a video, in which case we might then say maybe they are insurgents, because that's the style of the insurgents. But now if there's a phone call, then it's going to start possibly look like maybe some bandits who are looking for a way to just make some bucks, you know, out of the pains of these children.
Let me just chip in something on why I think it made sense to stop just anybody talking on this matter. A commissioner in the state was among the first persons to react when this thing happened. And what did he say? He said nobody was kidnapped. That the moment they shot into the air, the children merely ran away, that nobody was kidnapped. So if you are a governor, would you allow such situation to continue? That anybody, just because they put microphone in their mouths, will simply say something that makes no sense? How do you placate children, parents who would be in an area and simply watch someone saying no child was kidnapped? If you don't have information, journalists come to you, tell them you do not have information. Instead of simply saying something that makes no sense.
Valid point.
How can anyone say nobody was kidnapped? That the children merely took to their heels at the time that you were yet to get the full story. So this is the thing. When Fashola was governor here, he did the same thing. I said, look, the Commissioner for Information speaks for the state. Just anybody cannot speak on behalf of this, because at the end of the day, when such things happen, the shame is shared. And nobody will say it's this way. They will say this is the official position. So I guess that was why the governor had to do that. And I think it made sense to simply, whatever information they have, they can give the governor. The governor will say it. And from what we have seen, this governor is not interested in lying to the people. He's telling the people what the situation is.
Yeah. Thanks, Bikio. Paul, that I'm anxious to know your views also about this style of attack that is similar to that of Boko Haram. But that'll be after the break. You're watching Journalists Hangout on TVC News. We'll be back shortly. Stay with us. We're glad to have you on Journalists Hangout, the Monday edition on TVC News. Of course, as usual, almost all the time, I'm the blessed woman among men on the program. I have BKO, I have Lekon Shote, and I have Paul Dada. We've been looking at, the information dynamics of the attack on a school in Katsina State, Kankara local government to be precise, the kidnap of children. And we're now proceeding to examine this style that is reminiscent with Boko Haram. I'm now coming to you, Paul. What do you think about this? Should we worry that there's a full-scale insurgency that is emerging, not just in Katsina now, in the Northwest?
We have every reason to worry. What is very upsetting to me as a person is this, our mind-boggling penchant for playing down serious crises like this. Okay, we are talking about the governor. The governor said 333 pupils are missing. Garba Shehu said 10. It looks like our the default response of the authorities is to lie or play something down. You will remember the time of the Lekki shooting. The army spokesman just tweeted fake news. He probably even hadn't been briefed. It's like the default reaction is to lie or play down serious issues like this. Now, we shouldn't even bother now whether it's Boko Haram or it's bandits. What we are having is that children who were sent to school to go and learn by their parents have been kidnapped. This is not the first time it will be happening. It happened with the Chibok girls. They have not all yet arrived. It happened with Dapchi girls. Everywhere you have stories of kidnappings. I've been asking myself some questions in the past few weeks. I keep asking, when are we going to have positive news coming from Nigeria? It's either about banditry. If it's not banditry, it's kidnapping, it's protest, it's ASU going on strike and not being able to resolve the lingering disagreement and all of that. Except you want to say that the victory of Anthony Joshua, the victory of Anthony Joshua is good news from Nigeria. that's about the only, that's someone that has at least something to do with Nigeria. We've not had good news from Nigeria. I don't know how people in authority are able to sleep, knowing that they are presiding over a country that is permanently in crisis. Crisis everywhere. Economy, no good news. Education, no good news. Security. One of the most important duties of a government is to protect its citizens from internal and external aggression. Now, this government cannot beat its chest and say, I have succeeded in doing that. We keep having this news of people being kidnapped, people dying. I read the reports from Amnesty International. Between January and June, we have over 101,000 people killed in the north only. So now people are coming to realize that, look, this goes beyond religion, this goes beyond ethnic sentiments. People are dying. Children are being kidnapped. The schools are no longer safe. So that is our reality. We shouldn't play it down. That is exactly our reality. There's no need playing the ostrich or trying to pretend as if these things are not happening. Now, even if we had 10, let's say we even have 10, those 10 people are living, they are living souls. They have parents. They have aspirations. They have dreams. Their parents have dreams for them. We shouldn't be playing things down. Whether it's even one person.
Yes.
It's very serious. This is very mind-boggling, very upsetting.
Very true. You know, information coming out about whatever incident happens in whatever part of the country should show the, amount of importance that is placed on human life. We have Debo calling from Lagos. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, everybody on the set. What is happening is very simple. These bandits or terrorists or whatever you call them, these criminals are getting more emboldened by the day because they've done it over and over, and it appears the government is helpless. Until the president sit down with the army chiefs and do some rejigging, and then see how we can mop up some of the harms in circulation, I think we'll continue to have this as a recurring decimal. So I hope that the government will do the needful very soon so that we won't continue to get this kind of embarrassing situation on our hands all the time.
Thank you very much, Debo, for your contribution. Point very well taken. Now, BK, does this round of kidnap, does it place a question mark on the interaction that governments have had with the bandits in the past? I'm referring now to the peace accord that was signed between governors of the Northwest and the bandits.
Yes, a few governors made peace with bandits and recorded some success. In Kano, for example, the Falgore forests used to be the home of the bandits, and they were notorious for cattle rustling and all that. The current administration gave them amnesty, and we've had peace in Kano. Kano is a success story, although you also must admit that the level of banditry in Kano was at no time as high as what you have in Zamfara. That is probably the headquarters, although Kaduna is challenging seriously now with the activities of bandits in the Birnin-Gwari area along the border with Niger State. So then Katsina, the governor negotiated with them. We had peace for some time, at least for like maybe 2.5 years to 3 years. But when they began to face tremendous heat from the Air Force in Zamfara, and given that at that time there was no form of amnesty or negotiation with them in Zamfara, they decided to come into
Katsina
because Katsina shares some, shares boundaries in different local governments with Zamfara and even Kaduna State. So that was where the problem began. And you see, the governor has also made moves even after that to see whether he could get these people to stop kidnapping people and stop killing these people. But the truth is, they are back. In 2018, when I went there, they had just signed a truce. Signed a deal with them to stop killing people. And I went to Shimfida, spoke with some of the bandits. But it's that same place that I went to where 18 soldiers were killed a few months back. So they are back fully to what they enjoy doing, which is to kill people, which is to kidnap people. So you can ask why a governor would go and be negotiating with bandits and all that, or even risking his own life. But if you ask them, they will tell you that it's because they saw that military action had failed to put an end to the thing. So they had spent money. The governors of the Northwest, according to the Kaduna governors, spent billions. They contributed billions of naira to the armed forces just so that they can achieve peace. But they've not achieved anything. The killings are still on. For someone like Masari, he just felt that, look, I can't fold my arms and simply leave this thing to the armed forces. Let me see if I can make another move. But those guys are back to, they are criminals, so they are back to killing people, taking people hostages. And it's the same thing in Zamfara. The governor too, although you must admit that in Zamfara, the killings reduced as a result of the negotiation. For some time they had peace. But they are back to now. In some parts of the state, they are still kidnapping people. They are still killing people. The other day, they went to a mosque in Zamfara and killed people. So the attempts to beg these people, placate them, offer them amnesty, make peace with them, clearly have failed. Perhaps it's the military action that will solve this problem, which means we have to do our best, get our armed forces to take this job seriously and provide them with all that is required. We are to talk about what we do. The armed forces, what we can do. Let's read about events in Cambodia, events in Sri Lanka. How did they handle this kind of situations? You cannot defeat this kind of bandits or insurgents if you don't have sufficient helicopter platforms. We just don't have enough. But that's a story for another day.
And I have a follow-up question itching at the tip of my tongue to that, but we have to move to the next topic. And I'm glad because this is related and we can still piece the issues together. Part of the blame for rising insecurity in Nigeria is the proliferation of firearms. The Kebbi State Command of the Nigeria Customs Service intercepted 73 locally manufactured guns and 891 cartridges at Yori in Zamare water side of the state. The Public Relations Officer of Customs, Joseph Atta, explained that officers of the Zone B Federal Operations Unit were on patrol along the water side when they seized a truck loaded with locally produced rice. And upon careful examination, some sacks concealed under the bags of rice were the weapons. 3 persons were arrested in connection with the matter. Let's share a video with you yet again on this topic.
Then you point down, continue counting. Kai dole ku saurara oda
Yes, you're still on to Journalists Hangout on TVC News. You just saw the video there of the interception of, those who were carrying rice but concealed weapons inside the produce. So, gentlemen, it's not a surprise when we see that insurgency banditry is thriving in Nigeria's north. But first of all, is this time to praise the customs for this big catch, or should we wait a little? BK, you want to take that first?
Well, I think whatever breakthrough we make, we've got to praise them. Yes, it's their job that they're doing, but it's a dangerous job, and they've come under attack many times. Even customs men have been kidnapped by bandits. I remember in Sokoto State this year, the customs men who were on patrol, they kidnapped them and asked for ransom. So I think they've done a good job, and they deserve our praise. That area is the border between Nigeria and Niger Republic. River Niger is the natural boundary between our country and Kebbi State, and Yauri is the last town. So they came via the waterways. They must have come via the waterways, because from the story, they were the customs men were patrolling the water side when they intercepted this guy. So there's a lot of smuggling to our country through Niger Republic. I only hope we can do something about this. The bulk of the weapons that Boko Haram uses, they come through Niger Republic. They come through Niger Republic, and we have extensive borders with Niger Republic, crisscrossing between 6 to 7 states, from Kebbi State in the northwest to Borno in the northeast. We have between 6 to 7 countries or so, states sharing border with Niger Republic, Sokoto, Yobe, Borno, Kebbi, Jigawa, Katsina, about 6 or 7 of them. So, and the border is so extensive, it's not less than 1,500 kilometers. This is where a lot of weapons come in. If you look at Niger Republic itself, a country so large, almost 2 times the size of Nigeria, with a population of just 22 million. The government is not buoyant enough to police its borders. Yet, that is the country that we have extensive borders with. Our border with Chad is very small. Just largely in the Lake Chad area. But it's this Niger, and Niger looks like a failed state. It looks like a failed state. Weapons will come in through Libya, through the Darfur part of Sudan, into Niger Republic, and straight into our country. All of those places where Boko Haram is doing its best to ensure that our soldiers do not maintain a presence. There are supply routes through which they receive weapons from these countries. You know that Libya already looks more or less like a failed state. There's no central government in place. And then even some parts of Darfur, especially the area where Idris Deby's mom comes from, largely ungoverned, unsafe. So through these areas, weapons come in. We must find a way to work with Niger Republic to secure our borders. Our borders are too porous. There are more than 1,400 illegal entry points into our country, and they are largely in the Niger area. So if we can't do this, there's no way that weapons will be coming in. And will be, all of these bandits, a lot of them are non-Nigerians. I've spoken to people in the places that I visited who told me that, look, these are not our people. Even the kind of hair that they have, they look like Fulani from another country. You see, with very long hair, almost reaching their anal region. You know, so these foreigners come in freely, they bring in weapons freely. We've got to be able to do something about that. Otherwise, crime will not stop. If there is no access to weapons, it will be difficult for us to rein in crime. But as long as these criminals get fed with the weapons that they need, then they are energized. You can imagine Boko Haram without weapons to confront our soldiers. They won't be as strong as they are. They won't be as notorious as they are. But Boko Haram brings in weapons, some of them even more sophisticated than the weapons that we have. Some of the weapons from NATO that come in through Niger Republic, through Libya, with NATO written boldly on them. Some of those weapons are top grade. They are far more superior to the weapons that our soldiers have. For example, even some of the rocket-propelled grenades that they use, you see NATO written on them. So you know clearly that they were bought in the black market from some elements who had fought on the same side with NATO. You know that NATO used some rebels that time, those who were bent on chasing Gaddafi away. And a lot of these people, when everything collapsed, they left with their weapons. So there's a thriving black market for illicit weapons in Libya, and those weapons are coming into our country. That's why we have crime. Unless we're able to do something about that, honestly, it's going to be difficult.
Now, this is the question I've been, gearing to ask. For how long will governors and leaders of the entire northern region of Nigeria continue to play the ostrich about the structural inequalities, that are prevalent in the north, such that this problem can be solved once and for all? BKO has talked about the bandits coming predominantly from Niger Republic, and there are reports that the insurgents recruit from that part of the area. So if the problem is coming into Nigeria to seek what to do, and the proliferation of arms is thriving, if development comes to the northern region, would it be an end to this?
Yeah, Bukola, I've been thinking for some time that we need what you might call a Marshall Plan to create a large swath of middle class, education, infrastructure, restructuring of businesses and all that. 1, 2. Just, it was as if maybe Abductors and I have spoken before we got here. I have no doubt in my mind that criminal elements from the Niger Republic, from outside Nigeria, they have seen that our security system is just, there are no consequences for breaking laws in Nigeria. You understand? I mean, you can see people just go on the Ikorodu Road. People will drive on a BRT lane. And they will actually...
People destroy medians.
Yes. Yeah, people will come in the night, destroy the jersey fence on Ikorodu Road, they will destroy it so that they can cross. Whereas right above them is a pedestrian bridge. So in Nigeria, there are no consequences. But there's something you hinted at, and I think it needs to be addressed very quickly, and very, almost like an emergency. The northern political establishment needs to be honest with themselves. Just about 2 weeks ago or thereabout, the Sultan was talking, and he seemed to be pushing the blame on what he called the Southern press. that the southern press is not paying attention to the insecurity in the north. And I had to write in my column last week, Wednesday, that I appear on a program called Journalists Hangout, and I know that almost every day, security is discussed.
It's addressed.
And I've seen people like Hakim Baba Ahmed, Professor Yusuf Usman, the former presidential friend, Buba Galadima. They speak so much, they even say the president must be sacked and all that. Isn't he your friend? No, he's no longer my friend, he has to go. And then journalists ask, what do you think of restructuring? Then they start talking, they are no longer as forthright and forthcoming
as they were on the other issues.
So, and I think these are the issues that we need to. I'll give you a personal example. I experienced not far from where I live. I went to buy something from the madam there, and somebody, who lives in my house but he has some other accommodation, was telling me that I can't go home. I said, why? He said, there's so much hold up. See, that time, just after the NSAS riot, when the policemen were off the road. Now, and he says, and I say, what's the problem? And there are policemen. He said, there are no single policemen on the road. Now, listen to this carefully. And I was really, really scared when I heard this. 2 men, obviously from the northern part of Nigeria, simultaneously said, Shebi, you say you don't want police. The South never said they didn't want police. No. They said they did not want SARS. That was what they said.
The way SARS was killing people.
The way SARS was killing people. And then now, listen to this very carefully. Now, the Northern Governors Forum declared that, no, if you don't want SARS, we don't mind having SARS in the North. Okay? Now, the communication that was pushed down to the men on the street was that the South said they did not want police. Very dangerous. 2 different narratives. Do you understand?
It's deliberate.
These people live in Lagos. These 2 gentlemen live in Lagos. So there is a kind of communication that brought the wrong frame of information to them.
Yeah.
But where I'm going with
let me
is
take it up.
Let
me take it up from there and bring it to Paul. At the time of I'm glad you brought the NSAS matter up. In relation to this, at that time, commentaries were beginning to give an ethnic coloration to it, that they're attacking investments belonging to the Southwest. And, those commentaries came with Yoruba, Ronu. Now, this is happening in Katsina. Those who have been kidnapped are people of the core North. So is this an eye-opener for those who hold those deep-seated ethno-religious views that a problem that affects one affects all? This is not having to do with anything, any ethnic-related issue.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I don't know why people like to give undue ethnic coloration to some of these things. The Hausa man or the Fulani man who suffers from an act of terror has the same blood, the kind of blood that the Yoruba man also has. So we have a problem. We have a problem in this country. There is insecurity everywhere. So we must look beyond all this. All this won't help us. If we keep pushing these narratives, how do these narratives help to solve this problem? How do they serve to forestall some of these things we are having? But there's something I actually want to say regarding this particular, the interception of the weapons from the Niger Republic. Yeah. I think it reinforces the need for a stronger regional integration. If you look at even this Niger Republic we are talking about, on Saturday, they had their own visit of terror. There was a particular village that, as I said, ISWAP, because they actually claim responsibility for it. Yes. They went there, they killed people. Some were burnt, some were shot. They burnt up to 800 to 1,000 houses. The central market was burnt. And that particular village, 60% of that village had been destroyed. Some people were trying to escape. They went into the river and they even drowned. They died there. That's the same Niger Republic. So like we said, we have a serious problem. It's not just a Nigerian problem. These arms come from somewhere, come through Niger Republic. So we need to think of a way. We need to rethink our strategy. I'm worried because we can't talk about this too much, you know. We talk about it all the time, and it seems to me that many people are not listening. People that should be listening are not listening. Even if you sack the military chiefs, even if you sack the service chiefs, it goes beyond. Of course, we know the service chiefs have run out of the idea. We need people. We still need the president to wake up, because look. The director of a movie determines how good the movie, the script and the director determines how the movie will go. Even the actors are good. Even the actors are very good. Even they are very good actors. If there is a bad script with a bad director, it's going to the production will be so bad. Yeah. People are calling all the time for a change. People are asking. Recently, the president was asked to come and address the parliament. The parliament represents the people. That is, if the parliament calls upon a president, it is the people that are calling upon the president. Please come and address us. Then we started going around, it's not legal, it's legal, it's all of that. Yes.
Passionate narrative from you will awaken those asleep from their slumber. We must go to the next issue now. It appears the COVID-19 pandemic is striking at high places in Nigeria to announce the arrival of a second wave in the country. In a reinforcement of indication that a second wave is upon us, more than 20 generals of the Nigerian army have reportedly tested positive for coronavirus. This followed a series of tests after the death of Major General Johnson Irefi during the 2020 Chief of Army Staff annual conference in Abuja last week. A total of 417 personnel have been tested, with 26 confirmed positive cases. Meanwhile, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, who is the chairman of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, Boss Mustafa, and his wife have gone into self-isolation after some members of their household tested positive for coronavirus. I have the charge to continue now before we go for our next break. Even though medical personnel would also always want to, drive home the point that COVID-19 is not for the high and mighty. Given this report, BKO, I'm starting with you. Do you have a different view? Doesn't it appear to be in elitist places, thriving in elitist places? BKO.
It has killed far more poor people than it has killed rich people. The people who choose to believe that this is a phantom illness, a lot of them get killed. Many people were killed in Kano. A lot of the people killed in Kano were not rich people. There were lecturers killed in Kano. They were certainly not rich people. So what is important is for us to obey the protocols put in place by the PTF so that we can keep ourselves safe, because coronavirus is real. And anyone who values his life, because the greatest gift that God has given you is your life. Anyone who values his life should not take coronavirus lightly. The second wave is here. The governor of Lagos State is already receiving treatment at Yaba. And before now, some of his commissioners had contracted the virus. So, the virus is here. We have to show a greater sense of responsibility. I heard the governor of Kaduna saying, look, if this thing gets worse, and he too is in isolation at this time, he's a survivor of coronavirus, but he's back in isolation. That's Governor El-Rufai. And he's saying, if this thing gets worse, we might have to do another lockdown. Governor El-Rufai was the first to institute a curfew in response to coronavirus, and other governors eventually joined him, and then we later had a national lockdown. So he's not someone afraid to take the big decisions. And I respect him for that. He's already said, look, our mobile courts will soon be back in action to enforce the use of the face mask. We are behaving like this thing is gone, but that's dangerous. If all of those soldiers, 20 of them, could be said to have contracted the virus, and that's those who are tested, there are many people who, among the soldiers, who could be suffering from coronavirus at this time, but who, because they've not been tested, will not even know their status. Some of them will be asymptomatic. That's the nature of this ailment. You will not even know that you are afflicted by it. So it's an eye-opener. The Chief of Army Staff did not even attend his son's wedding last weekend because I understand that he's in isolation at this time, along with many of the officers who attended the Chief of Army Staff's conference. So this is a lesson that, look, this thing is back and we've got to take precautions. I'm not going to recommend another lockdown, but each and every one of us can take the steps that are necessary to ensure that we defeat this virus and defeat it in a good way.
And it seems as if the conversation on contact tracing, investigation, as to why, there seems to have been a cluster of coronavirus in that particular area where the army was meeting. Lekon, do you recommend that beyond the self-isolation, some more extreme medical measures should be taken to sanitize that area?
Well, medical measures beyond treatment, I can't think of anything. The good news is that about 72, 73 million people have had coronavirus, and just about 1.6 or 1.7 have died, which one life is too many, but at least the rate of death is not correlating to the rate of
just about 1% or so.
Yeah, so somewhat, there's something. And as I told Ayo here about a month ago, I was in the Yaba Isolation Center for about a week, and which means that you can survive it.
Yes.
Okay, and but we must understand that we are at what is called the community transmission stage.
Yeah.
And it appears Abuja is the new center.
And well, yeah, and
you see, last few weeks,
politicians, top civil servants, if you know their habits, they move, they move in clusters. So there's a very high,
the large big gatherings.
Yes, that's
look at
that's
the
nature of
governor
their
of those
job.
state at that time.
Yeah, exactly.
When he went to pick his nomination form.
Exactly.
They went in a wave with him, and then the governor
himself
contracted it.
The virus.
So they move. That is the nature of their job. It comes with the territory, and therefore the possibility is very, very high. With jobs that even journalists. Our job is to move about.
Yes.
Sorry, that's just
at risk as well.
Yeah, and then of course, those medical personnel that have to treat victims, it's also a very
a lot
high
of
risk.
them have died.
So the point is that we must understand that, and communication must. I monitor the report on a daily basis. Some states don't report anymore.
Yes.
And that's scary.
Testing is not happening in some states.
It's telling me that maybe some state governors are getting careless, because, or is it that they want their people to die? There ought to be a very.
So it's expensive to manage.
Yeah, I know, because even the test is about 50-something thousand. That's that little thing.
For government-approved laboratories, the test is actually free.
Yeah, well, yeah, it is free, but I'm just saying that it is actually about 50-something.
Government will pay.
Government will pay. I did the test twice. First time they said, okay, you are positive. The second time they say, okay, you are now negative. It was paid for by the government.
Yes.
But it costs a lot of money, So, but summary is that we must there must be constant communication of this thing at every level, to all media, to all groupings of Nigerians, so that everybody knows that this thing is very much around, and we have to be careful.
Paul, as I come to you, does this new wave confirm the PTF's position? Because I recall the conversation I had with him with our now arrested program, Myths and Facts. He said it's not a limitation in the government's capacity to testing, but that it's the attitude of the people that is affecting the numbers in testing per population that Nigeria has been able to achieve so far. So from this report, it appears that we're only discovering when people get ill and they test positive. So how can attitudes to testing be addressed? To
be very honest, a lot of our people have this very careless attitude towards this issue of COVID-19. I was interviewed some time ago on a TV station, and that was when the lockdown was newly imposed. I think it was just supposed to be for an initial, was it 1 month or so. And I said, how soon we would deal with this COVID was largely dependent on the people's attitude. You have people who are so illiterate that they'll tell you that, look, it's the disease of the rich. Apart from that, you have opinion leaders, religious leaders, especially. You know, religious leaders are very believable. They have, religious leaders can gather crowd better and faster than government. You know, they have all the camps everywhere. And then one of them recently was quoted to have said coronavirus is just, it's a ruse. You know, he said that at one of his programs. And if we are doing it...
But a Cameroonian said that, the Cameroonian cleric said that, and they died of coronavirus. Exactly. So you have religious leaders doing this. But I think what we need to do actually is to step up the campaigns. You know, we need to have more. But aside...
If I may come in there, is it a problem of illiteracy or skepticism?
Both. It's easy, they say education, when you're educated, it's impossible for you to be enslaved.
Maybe we should say ignorance rather than say illiteracy.
Yeah, well,
because I know a professor, who told me that
when I talk about illiteracy, illiteracy, you need to qualify it. So people are, when there are a lot of illiterate literates, so to speak, you know, when people that have gone to school behave like they haven't. I see people on social media, you know, saying all kinds of things. I saw one of the clerics, a pastor, so he said, I will defy you. Someone, I will defy you. If you say we should not hold, that was during the, saying that on Facebook, you know, that kind of thing. But I think we should.
It's not above the law now.
Of course, we should begin to engage with people at the community level. We should, the CDC chairman, the religious leaders, let's engage with them, because these people have greater influence on the people, even than government, than the state government. So we need to, as a matter of fact, because look, we are on the precipice now. People are talking about second wave, and people are thinking of vaccine. I know the DG, the aspiring DG, it's WTO, our own first quarter of the year, maybe not next year, hopefully. But then, of course, it won't go around. It won't be on the street, because it's going to go to maybe the frontliners first and all of that. Maybe before it even gets to probably towards the end of.
It's not even the solution.
That is not even the solution. That is not even the solution. Is that we must be careful. I keep saying, let us take. If you feel you are a Superman, please be mindful of the other person. You don't know whether the person you are meeting has certain health challenges. Some people have old people at home that are vulnerable. Please, if you're not thinking about yourself, think about your neighbor. It does not take much to use what we call face mask and all of that.
Round of the discussion, but it cannot be said enough that it is not time to rest on our oars. If you develop a symptom, you know, that is similar to that of coronavirus, as the scientists have told us, just go to the hospital, get a test, and see if you are positive, and start treating yourself immediately and protect other people around you. It's time now for us to go for a break. When we return, it will be time for sports. Stay with us. You're still on to Journalists Hangout on TVC News. Thank you for your time so far. We're moving on to sports now. And in sports, it is said that every champion has a nemesis. For Arsenal FC of London, it appears the decision of the manager, Mikel Arteta, to omit their £350,000 a week star, Mesut Ozil, from their Premier League and Europa League squads is haunting them. But Arteta appears to have opened the door for Ozil to return to the Arsenal squad in January. However, a decision has not been made on the future of the German playmaker. This is coming as the Gunners continue their winless streak. A 1-0 loss to Burnley on Sunday condemned Arsenal to a record 4 straight defeats in the league. They have also scored just twice in their last 8 league games. Is Ozil the tonic Arsenal needs at the moment? Before answers begin to pour in, let me welcome our sports editor, Promise Efoge. Welcome to Journalists Hangout.
Thank you for having me.
It's good to have you on the program.
Absolutely.
And BKO is still in the house.
Yes.
So BKO, let's start with you.
Let's start with the...
Okay, let's start with the sports guy.
Who, interestingly, is an Arsenal supporter.
You used to be an Arsenal supporter.
I don't understand that in sports.
No, the day they win a match now, the day they win a match, it will go back. If they win Europa League now, he will deny that he ever jumped ship.
I'm a fan of every club that plays good football. You know, one of the things that endeared me to Arsenal at some point in the late 90s, when Arsene Wenger really took charge, was the kind of football he introduced to the team. But that's, I mean, what we see right now is a total departure from what endeared me to the team in the first instance.
Oh.
So is Ozil the tonic that Arsenal needs at the moment?
Well, I think Ozil's omission was a very big mistake by the club, by Mikel Arteta. You can pay a man £350,000 a week and you sit him out of the team. A team that is lacking depth, a team that is lacking creativity. It's obvious, even when you look out and ask the team filing out and you see 2 holding midfielders in a squad at a time. It makes no sense. It makes no tactical sense. You're playing a Granit Xhaka and you're playing the other guy, El Neni, in a 11-man team, and you have an Ozil who you sit out of the squad.
That's too narrow.
The Arsenal team, I was telling a colleague earlier today, I said, any right-thinking coach will beat Arsenal because they are so predictable. Same pattern from start of the game to the end of the game, because that's just the way they can play. Knock the ball around from the back to the middle, then they go wide with the man from Chelsea and Willian, Aubameyang. They are so predictable. You see flurry of crosses into the 18-yard box. And for any well-thinking coach, you know that's what they will come with. And you can always take care of that. And that was what we saw against Burnley yesterday. Burnley were resolute. They were defensive. They knew the kind of play Arsenal would bring at them. They tactically prepared themselves. And they held on until that red card. Xhaka was stupid to have gotten that red card. It was needless, you know. They held on until they were able to get that breakthrough goal. And when Aubameyang scored that own goal, I knew it was over. Certainly.
Before we begin to ask whether the coach should be sacked or not, BKO, what really is the problem? Is Arsenal too reliant on Aubameyang?
I think in a sense, yes. He's always the guy who comes up with the goals, whether it's penalties or goals scored in open play. He's been extremely useful to the team. If Lacazette and other strikers can give half as much as Aubameyang gives, Arsenal won't be where it is today. You can imagine, even the FA Cup triumph, take out Aubameyang, there's no way Arsenal will have won the FA Cup, because in those big games, those must-win games, he always rises to the occasion. But we've seen lately that his tap of goals has dried up, because even before the Man U decided to bring down an Arsenal fullback inside Manchester United box, that was the only time that he attempted to make a tackle, and it ended up as a penalty. And of course, Aubameyang, in such a big game, he stepped up and he converted. That is the last time that Arsenal scored a goal in the league.
And won a game.
And that's the last time they won. And that's a long time. So if Pogba had not played the Father Christmas on that day, if he had not given them that gift of a penalty, so does it mean even since that time Arsenal would not have scored a goal? So I think that I'm not convinced. I hope that he proves me wrong. I'm not convinced that Arteta is the man for Arsenal, because when I even look at his pattern of play, Arteta is too narrow, which is completely antithetical to the Arsenal culture. Arsenal has never had a coach with a defensive mindset. Arteta was always looking for a way in the first half, or maybe just poor marksmanship. They should have beaten this Burnley team by like 5 goals.
They had some chances.
So many chances in the first half, Lacazette.
But
you see, when you are not on form, things don't go according to plan. You put every foot wrong. And then your mystery, your catalog of adversities will continue. That is what we are seeing with
that may continue, because you look at their next 5 fixtures and you feel sorry for the Gunners. They've got Southampton, who are hot at the moment. They beat the opponent 3-0 at the weekend. They've got Everton. Everton beat Chelsea last weekend. They've got City to play in the EFL Cup. They've got Chelsea to play at home, a London derby, and then Brighton. That's the next 5 fixtures.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So promise £350,000 a week. Should Arteta be sacked?
Well, like Jide said, I also don't think Arteta is the man for the job. I think he's too stereotyped. You know, a coach in modern day football should be adventurous. You should try when you keep playing a single pattern again and again and it's not working. You try other forms or formats. You look at Unai Emery, one of his predecessors, who came in to the Gunners as a marquee coach. Last season started with 4 wins and 7 draws thereabout. He was fired. Arteta has lost 7 games this season.
And we are not halfway into the season.
He has lost 7 games. Someone said the way Arsenal is dropping down the table, they will soon find oil.
They will drop. They will soon drop out of the table.
Fortunately for them, the difference between Arsenal in 15th and the top and the 4th team is just 10 points. So there is still a possibility for redemption. Okay. Perhaps in January, when there are talks that Ozil might be brought back into the squad in January. Maybe if that happens, Ozil, despite his attitude, his lackadaisical attitude sometimes to games and all of that, Arsenal needs Ozil.
He's a creative spark.
Sure. Arsenal needs Ozil. You know, Ceballos, very good player, but Ceballos wouldn't do what an Ozil
You cannot unlock defenses like Ozil.
You know,
you cannot unlock defenses.
Bring back Ozil in January. Arteta should begin to wear his thinking cap. Maybe he should consult his Oga at Manchester City to give him some tips.
I'm even shocked that you see that you have a mentor in Pep. And you are playing a style of football that is completely different to what we've always known. Because Pep had never been narrow.
Absolutely not.
He will play attacking football 4-3-3.
It means he's been a bad learner.
Yes, that means he chose not to learn from him.
That's Pep Guardiola.
How can you be so narrow, playing two defensive midfielders in a game? What are you doing with them?
That brings me to the next question.
That will blunt the creativity of the team.
Let's go back in time again. Did the club make the right transfers in the summer? If we could review the reasons for these mistakes.
Right now, because we are not seeing results, people can say that. But I've seen some very good players in this Arsenal team. The Tierney, or what's his name, the left fullback.
Yeah.
He's a fantastic footballer with a fantastic left foot. And you see people like even Ceballos.
They wouldn't play Mesut Ozil. Coutinho was available. He was on loan at Bayern Munich.
And there was this player too from, I think, Lyon, that they badly wanted to take.
A creative midfielder.
The midfielder. You know, they waited and waited until the last minute.
Coutinho was available. At the time they brought in Willian, same management team, the managers of
more
Willian,
useful than,
are also the managers of Coutinho. They should have brought in Coutinho, you know, to help, supply that creativity in midfield. That was where
All right,
they seriously
promise, we
goofed.
hope all these wrongs are righted in the next season. And if they are and Arsenal begins to win again, we don't want to see you in Arsenal.
The question
That's if we don't find them in the relegation zone at that time.
The question is, for how long can they even be patient with Arteta? In today's football, management are usually not patient with coaches.
Usually not.
They want results.
Yes, because a lot of money is spent.
Absolutely.
I mean, so results must come in.
The kind of time that people like Ferguson and Wenger had, nobody will give any coach in today's world.
All right, it's been an awesome time on the program today. Thank you for your company. That's all we have for you. Join us again tomorrow for another edition. Don't forget that we're also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.